Don't get me wrong. I wasn't any angel on a forever basis. I like to think I'm a good person, although, but I am far from perfect.
What do you think you learned about marriage that men should know in order to have a 50-some-year-odd relationship?
I think the first thing is you can't be selfish, and you can't. You are now one. You and your wife are one, and you have to maintain that focus. You can be individuals, but you can always come together and be one. And maintaining that balance on a daily, hourly, minute basis is very, very important. And you are not going to be able to do everything you want to as an individual. And they are not going to be able to. But in that true relationship, it's very important to support what your partner wants to do or believes in. I mean, you may not agree with it, not at that moment, but most likely, if you have that commitment and attraction to your partner, and it is strong enough, you are best off supporting what they want.
I'm totally with you on that. And one of the realizations that I've had in the last, 2 years or so is that my wife's daemon, the inner voice that she has in her that speaks up as like pecking at me at the things I should be thinking about or the things I should be doing, is really valuable to learn from. And there's no one else that has as invested of a reason to make sure that I am upright as my wife. And I can see how couples could get sideways where they think, no, that person is keeping me from being the person that I want to be or that I could be. But you got to get that right. Because if you, and the thing that you said at the beginning, which I think is absolutely right, you are one and there is no escape valve. You have made the decision that you guys are together and you have to hold up your end of the bargain on what that means for a commitment. But once you come to that arrangement that you're not going to leave, a whole new level of interaction and support can manifest that can never manifest between, like we talked about earlier, business partners.
Yeah, and I could truly say that the periods of unrest in our relationship were all my fault. Absolutely. I admit it. This is my confession. I confess. And I was a jerk a few times, just an absolute jerk. Men go through some, strange things. There's, face it, we're going to forever walk down the street and glance over at that pretty woman. That's just the male thing, male-female thing, but you maintain the restraint and understanding that, yes, you can, enjoy that without going further and without causing problems. It's not easy sometimes because if there's things going on at home, that maybe you've been in argument with your spouse or whatever, and then you start drifting and you're not listening to your inner voice, and you maybe got a buddy or, like you say, you're at the bar or whatever and having a few drinks, and, there's always There's always temptation in all parts of our lives, as you know, man. It's everything we do. I mean, I'm sure there's temptations and days when I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this network thing. This day is so chaotic. I don't have time to do this, and if you don't grab yourself and get back on the road, you're gonna keep drifting, and pretty soon you're gonna hit the shoulder, and then you're gonna roll the car.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've been thinking about these two metaphors that have come up on the podcast. One is the Cain and Abel. Is this, Cain killed Abel because Cain's sacrifices that he was making to God weren't good enough, and he got jealous of Abel's sacrifices, and instead of making the right sacrifices, he went over and killed his brother. And so there's that metaphor. And then you have the Mark Spiewak, the running coach, who was a fascinating interview where he said, hey, a lot of our problems come down to a 3/4 problem. It is that you're 3/4 of the way through the race, and if you could keep yourself going hard, then you will be happy with your thing at the end. And so when you start talking about a marriage or any of the work that we do that's difficult, you always have to have these two models to say, is this a Cain and Abel problem? I'm not making the right sacrifice and I should quit doing what I'm doing and do something else? Or is this a 3/4 problem? I just need to keep going and eventually it'll get easier and there'll be people cheering for me at the end. Does that resonate with what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. I enjoyed that, the running coaches comments and podcasts. It rang my bell. I mean, my wife and I discussed it. We watch those things together. I mean, it's interesting because we watch them. We go to lay in our bed and turn on our TV and sit there before we go to sleep, and they say, okay, does Vance have a new podcast? Well, we throw it up there and we listen to the podcast, and then maybe we back it up and listen to this and back it up and listen to that. And then we discuss it, and then we go to sleep.
Oh man, there's no higher compliment than that to me. That's awesome.
Well, it is. It's just our time. You're focused, and it's really nice.
Mike, I think we're going to wrap up here, but I want to invite you on again and again. This has been a really good conversation, but as always, I really like asking the question on the way out with certain people. What is your Peter Thiel paradox? The thing that you believe that very few people would agree with you on. What's something you believe about the world?
Well, I firmly believe that everyone has abilities that they have not discovered yet, and I think it's my job to teach people or to encourage them to look for who they really are. And I truly believe that, I don't think everybody's going to agree with me that there's a lot of hidden ability out there that isn't expressed. But I'm adamant about it. I just get adamant that it's there.
I think that one of the things I have observed in the way you interact in the network is people put things out into the world. Like Miriam, for example. Miriam Hoffman is a member of the Articulate Ventures Network, and she not only did she just win a national FFA officer role, but she's also giving a speech in a few months for her college. And she put forward her talk, and she got done, and you were like, it wasn't good enough. I know you could do better. And what I think most people would anticipate by saying something like that to another person is that other person will cry or start looking sad or be like, never mind. But instead, Miriam lit up and she's like taking down notes and trying to make changes and asking questions. And like when you see someone like you have that impact on another person, you realize, wait, I could do that too. I could provide feedback that would allow them to get better. And so I see you living out the thing that you're saying you believe that other people don't agree with. I think that is the mark of a real person, a real man, is to live out the thing that they believe, even though other people don't agree with them.
And by doing that, you become very content. I can truly say that the network has brought me to a place in my life that I have never experienced this level of contentment.
Thanks for checking out this podcast short. If you like this interview, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and hit that bell so you always get notified about this podcast. And if you're really interested in conversations like this, you may want to consider joining the Articulate Ventures Network. To find out more, go to network.articulate.ventures.